The rain hit the metal roof of Outpost K7 like soft gunfire. Cold wind moved through the narrow walkways, carrying the smell of oil, rust, and forgotten war. Inside the main control room, loud voices and laughter filled the air. Soldiers sat around cleaning their weapons and trading stories from past missions. In the far corner of the room, a girl worked alone with a wrench in hand. Her name was Ember. She had short dark hair, a worn-out jacket, and eyes that never looked up unless needed. She was fixing the sensor panel that others had broken and ignored. "Why is she even here?" one soldier said, not bothering to lower his voice. "She's not a soldier, just a tech rat," said another, laughing. "I bet she can't even hold a rifle," a third added. They all laughed louder. Ember said nothing. She kept working, her fingers moving fast and sure. She didn't flinch. She had heard worse. The base was cold, built years ago during the rebellion. Now it was used to watch the outer border, though no real threat had been seen in months. The soldiers had grown lazy. They drank, played cards, and mocked anyone who didn't fit in. Ember didn't care. She came to this base because it was far from the Central Worlds. She didn't talk much, didn't share her past, and didn't ask for help. That made the others uneasy. People like her, quiet and calm, made others feel weak. Later that night, Ember walked through the lower halls, checking power grids. Her boots made soft taps on the metal floor. She moved with quiet steps, used to the silence. The power grid read stable. Nothing strange, but something felt wrong. She paused. The lights above flickered once, then came back. The hallway ahead seemed darker than before. She stared for a second, eyes narrowing. Then she turned and walked back to her room. In the barracks, the soldiers were still loud. A fight had broken out over a lost bet. A chair crashed into the wall. No one noticed the flashing red light on the far control screen. Motion alert. Something had entered the outer gate. A guard named Luke saw it, but waved it off. "Probably just wind or a faulty sensor," he said, pushing the button to reset it. The red light turned green. The base stayed on low alert. Ember sat on her small bed, back straight, staring at the wall. Her room was bare, with only a single bag by the corner. She closed her eyes. For a moment, it was like the air changed. The silence felt heavier. Then came the voice. Soft, low, male, right beside her ear. "Ember." She opened her eyes fast. No one was there. She looked around the room. Empty. She got up and checked the hallway. Nothing. Just the cold walls and dim lights. She stood still for a long time, then walked back inside and closed the door. Far beneath the base, in the sealed lower levels, something moved. A door opened where no one should be. The security system did not blink. No alarms, no sounds, but something had entered. And it was not part of the crew. Back in the control room, the soldiers continued laughing. No one knew that one of them would not wake up in the morning. And no one saw Ember's eyes turn sharp for just a second, as if she already knew what was coming. Morning came late on Outpost K7. The sky outside was gray, thick with clouds. The metal walls of the base hummed with power, but something was wrong. One of the soldiers, Darren, was missing. His bed was empty, his gear still in place. His boots were beside the door, clean and unused. "Where's Darren?" asked one of the men. "Maybe still drunk," joked another. They laughed, but their voices were less sure than before. By noon, 2 more soldiers were gone. No one saw them leave. No camera showed them walking out. Only silence remained where they had been. Commander Blake, the highest-ranking officer on the base, ordered a full search. They swept every floor, every tunnel. Ember watched from a corner, her hands crossed behind her back. She said nothing. The commander noticed her. "You," he said, pointing. "You see anything?" She shook her head. "You always walk the lower decks? You sure you didn't hear anything strange?" Ember looked at him, eyes calm. "I heard the wind," she said, same as always. He frowned, not trusting her. But he had no proof. That night, another soldier vanished. This time from the control room. He had been sitting at the radar screen. The camera showed him at his desk, eyes open. Then the feed turned to static. When the camera came back, the chair was empty. No sign of a fight, no sound, no warning. Panic spread. Guns were checked, doors locked, guards posted. Still, no one knew what was happening. Blake blamed faulty systems. Others blamed Ember. They whispered her name in anger. She had no friends here. She walked alone, ate alone, spoke only when needed, did not laugh or join their games. Later, Blake called a meeting. "This is not a joke," he said. "Forgone. No trace. Until we find answers, everyone stays in groups. No one goes alone. And someone keep an eye on her." He did not say her name. Did not need to. Ember went to her room, eyes steady. She locked the door behind her. The voice came again. Quiet, clear. "Ember." She turned. "What are you?" she asked. No answer. But something inside her chest pulled. A memory. A sound. A place. She knelt beside her bed and pulled out a black case. Inside was a metal chip. She held it in her hand. Her fingers shook. She pressed the chip to her neck. The room dimmed, and she felt it. The whisper became louder. Not just a voice now, but a presence. It moved through her blood, her thoughts. Her eyes sharpened. Her heart slowed. She stood taller, her mind opening like a door. She remembered the training, the drills. The voice had a name, but she had locked it away long ago. Now it returned. A hidden system deep inside her body, built for war, now awake again. "You called me back," she said. The presence answered without words. It sent her images, maps, movement, the missing soldiers. It's not taken by monsters, taken by men. Secret doors, hidden orders, betrayal. Ember's hands closed into fists. She left her room and moved through the halls with new purpose. The cameras watched her, but she moved faster than before. She dropped into the old storage bay and found a wall panel. Behind it, a stairwell no one used. She went down. Below, deep under the base, a light flickered. A door opened with a hiss. Inside were files, old weapons, in a locked room. Behind the glass, someone moved, a face. Human. The truth was deeper than she thought. And the game had only begun.
Ember stepped closer to the glass. The light inside the locked room was weak, but she saw the figure clearly now. It was a man, tall and calm, sitting on a bench with his hands resting on his knees. He looked at her without fear. His face was pale, his eyes sharp. He did not speak. She looked around the room. Old papers were stacked on shelves. Some pages had military codes. Others had names with lines across them. Cables hung from the ceiling. The place smelled like dust and metal. Ember placed her hand on the glass. The man stood up slowly and walked to the window. A speaker clicked on with a buzz. "I was waiting for you," he said. His voice was deep, steady. Ember did not answer. "They said you were a ghost," he said, "but I knew you would come back." She watched him with no expression. "Who are you?" she asked. "My name is Adam," he said. "I served before the purge. I was part of the Royal Guard." Ember's eyes narrowed. She had heard stories about the Royal Guard. Brave men who protected the last queen. After the old rule ended, the new leaders called them traitors and hunted them down. None were supposed to be alive. "Why are you here?" she asked. "They locked me up," Adam said. "They didn't kill me. They needed something from me. A key. A code. But I never gave it." Ember turned to the files. She picked up one and opened it. Inside was a picture of a woman with dark hair and a crown. The last queen. She looked strong and proud. Ember felt something twist in her chest. "That's your blood," Adam said. "You were trained to forget. They buried your memories." But the voice brought them back. Ember looked at the floor. She remembered now. A camp in the forest. Men in black uniforms. Fire. Pain. A girl taken and shaped into a machine. She was that girl. "There is more," Adam said. "They are using this space for something else. The soldiers are not missing. They are being silenced. They found the queen. She is here, locked away, deeper underground." Ember stepped back from the glass. Her thoughts moved fast. The voice inside her spoke again, quiet but clear. It showed her a path. A map of the tunnels below the base. She looked at Adam. "Why should I trust you?" "You don't have to," he said. "Just follow the fire inside you!" She turned and left without a word. She climbed up the stairs, back into the empty hall. The base was too quiet now. The fear was growing. Soldiers moved in groups. Weapons ready. Eyes wide. The commander shouted orders. "Stay sharp! We have a breach. Someone is opening old levels." Ember moved through the shadows. She did not need light. Her steps were quick and soundless. She passed the guards without being seen. The voice inside her guided her to a locked door behind the engine room. She placed her hand on the panel. The door opened. Inside was a cold tunnel that led down into darkness. The walls were smooth, the air thick. She walked forward with steady steps. At the end of the tunnel, she saw another door. This one was stronger, sealed with old codes. Her mind reached out. The code came to her without effort. The door opened with a loud click. Inside was a glass chamber. A woman stood inside, tall and still, her eyes closed. She wore a silver suit. Her face was older now, but Ember knew her. The Queen. Ember stepped into the room. The Queen opened her eyes. They looked straight into Ember's soul. "You came!" the Queen said. "I remember," Ember answered. The fire was awake now. The war was not over. It had just begun.
The Queen stepped out of the chamber. Her legs were weak, but her eyes were strong. Ember moved to help her, but the Queen raised a hand. She stood tall on her own. The chamber behind her went dark. The cold air wrapped around them as Ember closed the door. "You were just a child," the Queen said. "They took you from the forest camp. I searched for you." "They erased everything," Ember said. "Not everything," the Queen replied. "Your fire stayed. It was only sleeping." They walked through the tunnel together. Ember led the way, her mind sharp. The voice inside her was quiet now. It watched but did not speak. The base above them was in chaos. Soldiers ran through the halls, shouting orders and locking doors. The commander had lost control. Ember reached the old armory. The door had not been used in years. She opened it with a simple code. Inside were weapons from the old time. Blades, rifles, armor with gold marks. The Queen looked at the armor and placed a hand on it. "These were made for my guard," she said. "My men wore these the day the gates fell." Ember picked up a blade. It was light in her hand but strong. She strapped it to her side and handed the Queen a rifle. The Queen took it without a word. "We are not alone," Ember said. "One of your guards is still here. He's locked in the lower level." "Adam," the Queen said. "He lived. We could not break him," Ember said. They moved fast now. Ember led the Queen through the side tunnels. She knew the blind spots, the dead cameras, the paths hidden in the walls. She had studied the base for months. She had waited for this day without knowing why. 2 soldiers blocked their path near the engine hall. Ember moved without pause. Her blade flashed once. Both men dropped to the floor. The Queen did not speak. She knew this was not the same girl from the forest. They reached the chamber where Adam was locked. Ember opened the door. He stood there, waiting. When he saw the Queen, he dropped to one knee. "My Queen," he said. "Stand, Adam," she replied. "We have work to do." Together they moved to the upper halls. The Queen now walked between them. Adam carried 2 rifles. Ember led the way. Her senses were clear, her mind calm. The voice inside her rose again. The base was awake now. Sirens howled. Lights flashed red. The commander had seen them on the cameras, gave orders to stop them. "Do not let them reach the command tower," he shouted. "Shoot if needed." Ember smiled. They moved through the storm of sound and fire. Guards came with rifles. Adam fired with sharp aim. Ember moved like smoke, silent and fast. Her blade found weak spots. The Queen stayed behind them, but she did not hide. They reached the command tower after 10 minutes of fight. The door was sealed. Ember placed her hand on the lock. The code came from deep inside her mind. The door opened. The commander stood inside with his officers. His face was pale. He held a pistol. You don't know what you're doing, he said. She is the past. We're the future. Ember stepped forward. You were scared of truth, she said. And truth is coming. The queen raised her rifle. You killed my people, she said. Now you answer for it. The officers raised their weapons. A loud shot echoed. Adam dropped 2 of them before they fired. Ember moved fast and struck the commander's arm. His pistol fell. He looked at her, eyes wide. Who are you? I asked. I am the fire you tried to kill, she said. The queen walked to the main screen. She pressed the switch, crossed the stars. A signal was sent. The queen was alive. The world was about to change. The signal moved fast across the sky. It reached the deep colonies, the forgotten cities, and the rebel zones. People who once served the queen saw her face on old screens. Some cried. Some stood in silence. Others reached for weapons they had hidden for years. Inside the command tower, Ember stood beside the queen. Adam watched the door while the officers lay on the floor, tied and silent. The commander sat in the corner, bleeding and beaten. His pride was broken. His voice was gone. Ember looked out the window. The base was quiet now. Smoke rose from the lower halls. Fires burned where the fighting had happened. The soldiers who still lived had dropped their guns. They waited. The queen walked out of the tower and stood on the high platform. Her voice came through the speakers across the base. You forgot who I was, she said. You buried the truth and followed those who wanted power. But the truth does not die. I lived, and so did hope. Her voice was strong. Her words cut deep. But you called me weak, she said. You called her nothing. You laughed at her because she was quiet. But she carried fire.
Oh.
And now you burn in its light. She turned and looked at Ember. Ember did not smile. Her face was still. She did not need praise. She had done what she was meant to do. Adam stepped forward. What now? He asked. We give them a choice, the queen said. They can join us or leave. By nightfall, many soldiers had chosen to stay. They had seen what Ember did. They had seen the truth. Some walked away, heads low. They had no fight left in them. Ember sat in the old control room. She looked at the screens. Messages were coming in from other outposts. Small groups asking if the signal was real. Some ready to rise, others scared. The voice inside her was quiet now. It had no orders to give. It had guided her, trained her, waited for the right time. That time had passed. She was ready to walk without it. The queen entered the room and sat beside her. You can stay, the queen said. You can help rebuild. Ember shook her head. I'm not made for walls, she said. The queen nodded. She did not argue. She understood. At dawn, Ember walked to the gates of the base. Adam met her there. He handed her a pack with supplies and a new blade. Where will you go? He asked. Where the fire leads me, she said. He placed a hand on her shoulder. The queen will miss you. She knows where to find me, Ember said. She stepped onto the open land beyond the base. The sky was wide. The wind was strong. She walked with calm steps, her back straight. Behind her, the base was alive with new orders, new voices, and new hope. The old world had ended. A new one had started with the fire of one quiet girl. The soldiers who once mocked her would speak of her name with fear and respect. And somewhere in the wind, the voice whispered one last time. Ember, she smiled. Then she walked into the rising sun.